What is it? Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. Um, I saw a few of the video clips yesterday from Hassan Piker, the left leaning Twitch streamer, YouTuber. I like watching him. I enjoy watching him. But this past weekend, he was returning from France and flew into O'Hare Airport. And he was detained by it was either ICE or CBP, Customs Border Patrol. He was detained and questioned for 2 hours. And I don't offer legal advice on TikTok, even though I've been a lawyer for 26 years. But I guess I'll put it this way: what I would have done differently than what he did. I saw a couple of extended clips where he was describing these like long ongoing conversations that he was having with these members of law enforcement while he was being, I think, illegally detained upon re-entering the United States. And he was being questioned about, what are your thoughts on Donald Trump? Have you ever posted anything negative about Donald Trump? Have you spoken out against the Israel's war in the Gaza Strip? Those kinds of subject areas. Those questions aren't direct quotes, but that kind of stuff. And Hassan described himself answering all of their questions. Again, speaking only for me. If I were to be detained at an airport by ICE or Customs and Border Patrol, and they took me in a room, I would ask them if I was being detained. If they said no, I would stand up and say, "Give me my shit, I'm leaving." And then I would see how they respond to that, because their actions would demonstrate to me that I'm very clearly being detained. And then I would sit back down, and the only thing that I would say for the remainder of the time that I am in there is that I want to see an attorney. I want to speak to an attorney. Those are the only words that would come out of my mouth for the remainder of that interview. Because Hassan was born in the United States. There is no question about his United States citizenship. And he was being detained and questioned at an airport within the lower 48 states, O'Hare in Chicago. Given those circumstances, the following things apply without question. His Fourth Amendment rights against unlawful search and seizure. His Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination. His right to counsel. His right to remain silent. All of those constitutional rights apply. And if it were me, I would be exercising all of those. And also, it's like, even if I was traveling with my electronic devices, like my cell phone or my laptop, I'm an attorney. I'm still practicing. My cell phone and my laptop are overflowing with confidential communications between myself and my client, to which attorney-client privilege applies. And that privilege belongs to the client. It does not belong to me. It is not for me to waive that privilege on behalf of my clients and show that information to law enforcement. There are confidential private documents from my clients. There's information about their cases, documents from their files, email communications, text message communications. And it's not up to me. I don't have a choice in that scenario about whether or not I'm going to open up my devices for immigration cops to look at. I could get disbarred. I could get sued. any number of extremely negative, harmful consequences could happen to me in that circumstance. And so I would refuse that as well. However, I fully recognize that it is very easy for me, or much easier for me than others in this country, to simply say that I would take these positions because I am a white man. I recognize that. And that's unfortunate in this country, extremely. But I, anybody who's followed me for any period of time at all knows that I've frequently acknowledged the fact that I have every privilege that's available in the United States except for generational wealth, simply because of how I was born. I didn't earn any of the privileges that I have except for my law degree. And I, as much as I can, I understand that. But I'm just saying, I would never in a million years engage in conversations with law enforcement were I detained and in their custody, whether they acknowledge that I'm being detained or not. I would never answer their questions. I would ask if I was being detained, and then the only thing that I would say from that moment going forward is, I want to speak to an attorney. I am exercising my right to counsel. I am exercising my right to remain silent. Again, I'm fully aware that it's easy for me to say and do that, and that there are other groups and marginalized communities within the United States that would probably be on the receiving end of a different result from those law enforcement individuals if they took a similar approach than I. But the principle holds true. Those are your constitutional rights in that situation. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to not be compelled to engage in any form of self-incrimination. And you have a right to speak to an attorney, period. Period. You have the right to speak to an attorney, and you have a right to refuse to answer any question they ask you. It's a little murkier whether or not they can demand that you open up your electronic devices and give them access to those devices when they do not have a warrant. But they can confiscate your devices when you're coming in from out of the country. And, but man, the civil lawsuit that I would file, it would be, as we say in the legal world, a real humdinger.